Goddesses have lived in our stories for thousands of years. They are powerful figures. They represent nature, wisdom, love, and war. From the snowy peaks of Mount Olympus to the sacred rivers of India, these divine women have shaped how we understand the world. They are more than just characters in old myths. They hold a mirror to our own hopes and fears. They show us what we value in strength, leadership, and compassion. Their stories teach us about life, death, and the forces that move our universe. They connect us to our ancestors and to the timeless questions of human existence. Cinema, our modern form of storytelling, was quick to embrace these powerful figures. From the very beginning, filmmakers saw the appeal of goddesses. Their tales were full of drama, romance, and epic conflict. They offered a chance to create incredible visual spectacles. A goddess on screen is not just a character, she is a symbol. She can represent an entire culture's ideals about femininity and power. How she is portrayed, whether as a gentle caregiver, a fierce warrior, or a wise ruler, tells us a great deal about the time in which the film was made. The big screen became a new temple for these ancient deities. The journey of goddesses in film is a fascinating one. It follows the evolution of cinema itself. In the early days, they were often shown as beautiful but distant figures, wrapped in flowing gowns. As filmmaking technology grew more advanced, so did their powers. Special effects allowed them to command lightning, transform landscapes, and battle monstrous creatures. This evolution in their portrayal is not just about better technology. It also reflects changing attitudes in our society, especially regarding the roles and capabilities of women. The goddess on screen has become a powerful space to explore new ideas about female strength. Why do these ancient figures still capture our imagination today? Perhaps it is because their stories are fundamentally human. They experience jealousy, love, and loss, just as we do, but they do so on a grand cosmic scale. Their struggles are our struggles, magnified. They remind us that there is a powerful, creative, and resilient force within the world and within ourselves. In a rapidly changing world, the enduring presence of the goddess in our films offers a connection to something ancient, powerful, and timeless. They are a constant source of inspiration for new stories and new generations. In the early days of Hollywood, goddesses were often presented as symbols of pure beauty and grace. They were less about raw power and more about idealized femininity. Think of the films from the 1930s and 1940s. Actresses were draped in shimmering silks and soft fabrics, moving through grand heavenly sets. The focus was on their ethereal nature. They were beings to be admired from afar, like perfect statues brought to life. Their divinity was shown through their flawless appearance and gentle manners. Directors like Cecil B. DeMille used them to add a touch of the divine to his epic stories, making them feel larger than life. One of the most common ways to see a goddess in this era was through musicals and lighthearted fantasies. In the 1947 film, Down to Earth, Rita Hayworth plays the Greek muse Terpsichore. She comes down from Olympus, not to wage war, but to fix a Broadway play she dislikes. She is charming, elegant, and a little bit mischievous. This portrayal shows the attitude of the time. A powerful female figure was made safe and entertaining. Her power was in her charm and beauty, not in her ability to challenge the world of men. She was a delightful visitor, not a true force of change. The settings for these goddesses were just as important as the characters themselves. Mount Olympus was often depicted as a place of fluffy white clouds and pristine marble columns. It was a dreamy, perfect world, far removed from the troubles of mortal life. The lighting was always soft, making the actresses glow with an otherworldly light. This visual style reinforced the idea of goddesses as untouchable ideals. They were not meant to be relatable figures. They were meant to be objects of fantasy and aspiration, representing a perfect world that audiences could escape to for a few hours in a dark theater. This approach tells us much about the culture of the Golden Age. Society had very specific ideas about the roles of women. They were expected to be beautiful, graceful, and supportive. The goddesses on screen reflected these expectations perfectly. They rarely showed anger or ambition in ways that might seem threatening. Their power was passive. It came from their beauty and their divine status, not from their actions or decisions. They were heavenly queens in a world where mortal women were still fighting for basic equality on Earth, a beautiful dream of femininity from a bygone era. The 1950s and 1960s brought a new kind of film, the sword and sandal epic. These movies were big, bold, and full of action. They told stories of Greek heroes, Roman gladiators, and biblical figures. In this new landscape, goddesses began to change. They were still beautiful, but now they were also more directly involved in the affairs of mortals. They were no longer just passive observers, they were schemers, helpers, and sometimes antagonists. They used their powers to influence battles and decide the fates of heroes. This was a significant shift, showing a new cinematic interest in divine intervention and power. One of the most iconic examples from this time is the 1963 film Jason and the Argonauts. The goddess Hera plays a crucial role in the story. She is Jason's protector, guiding him on his quest for the Golden Fleece. Portrayed by actress Honor Blackman, Hera is majestic and commanding. She speaks to Jason from the prow of his ship, a giant wooden figurehead come to life. Her power is clear and direct. She is a political player on Mount Olympus, working against the will of Zeus to help her chosen mortal. This version of a goddess is far more complex and active than what audiences had seen before. The technology of the era, especially the stop-motion animation of Ray Harryhausen, was key to this new portrayal. While the goddesses themselves were played by actresses, their power was shown through incredible special effects. In Jason and the Argonauts, Hera's divine world is brought to life. We see her playing a game of chess with Zeus, using mortals as their pawns. This visual metaphor makes the scale of their power clear. The gods are not just watching, they are actively playing with the lives of humans. The special effects made the myths feel real and visceral in a way that had never been possible before. This era's goddesses reflect a changing cultural view. While society still held traditional views of women, there was a growing fascination with power in all its forms. These films explored themes of destiny, free will, and the struggle against powerful forces. The goddesses of the sword and sandal epics embodied these themes. They were powerful beings with their own agendas and desires. They showed that female power could be strategic, influential, and even dangerous. They were no longer just beautiful decorations, they were key players in the epic struggles between gods and men, paving the way for even stronger depictions in the future. As cinema moved into the 1970s and 1980s, the fantasy genre exploded. Inspired by books like The Lord of the Rings, filmmakers began to create new mythical worlds. This was a perfect environment for goddesses to evolve once again. They were no longer tied only to the classical myths of Greece and Rome. Writers and directors began to create their own goddesses or reinterpret ancient ones in new mystical ways. Their power became less about divine politics and more about elemental magic and a deep connection to nature. They were often portrayed as mysterious wise figures who held the secrets of their worlds. A great example of this shift is the 1981 film Clash of the Titans. While it is a Greek myth, its goddesses feel different from their 1960s counterparts. Thetis, a sea goddess, is a key antagonist driven by a mother's fury. She is a force of nature, commanding the monstrous kraken to destroy a city. Athena and Aphrodite also appear, offering magical gifts to the hero, Perseus. The film presents them as sources of ancient magic, their divinity tied to powerful artifacts like a helmet of invisibility or a shield with a reflective polish. Their power feels more primal and magical than political. This era also saw the rise of goddesses who were not from traditional European mythology. As filmmaking became more global, stories from other cultures began to appear. While direct adaptations were still rare in mainstream Western cinema, the influence of other mythologies could be felt. Fantasy films often created goddess archetypes that drew on Celtic, Norse, or other pagan traditions. These figures were often connected to forests, moons, and the cycles of nature. They represented a kind of spiritual power that was different from the organized pantheons of Olympus, one that was wilder and more mysterious. The visual effects of the time helped shape these mystical goddesses. Animatronics, advanced makeup, and optical effects allowed filmmakers to create beings that were truly otherworldly. They could have glowing eyes, transform into animals, or communicate through dreams. This technology moved the portrayal of goddesses away from simply being beautiful women in flowing robes. It allowed them to become embodiments of magic itself. This reflected a cultural interest in New Age spirituality and environmentalism. The goddess became a symbol of a lost connection to the natural and spiritual world, a powerful figure of wisdom in a complex age. In the 21st century, the most visible evolution of the goddess is found in the superhero genre. The line between ancient deity and modern superhero has become, well, beautifully blurred. Characters like Wonder Woman are not just inspired by goddesses, they are goddesses. Diana Prince is the daughter of Zeus and a princess of the Amazons, a direct link to the Greek pantheon. Her story combines the ancient world of myth with the modern world of superheroes. This blending has created a new kind of goddess, one who walks among us, fights for us, and inspires us in a contemporary context. The 2017 film, directed by Patty Jenkins, was a landmark moment for this archetype. Gal Gadot's portrayal of Diana showed a goddess who was both immensely powerful and deeply compassionate. She possessed superhuman strength, speed, and the ability to deflect bullets with her bracelets. But her greatest power was her unwavering belief in humanity's potential for good. This was a goddess who was not distant or manipulative. She was an active participant in human struggles, driven by a profound sense of justice and love. She was both a warrior and a peacemaker, a complex figure for a complex time. This trend extends beyond DC's Amazonian princess. Marvel's Thor films have brought Norse mythology to the forefront of pop culture. While Thor is a god, the films have also introduced powerful female figures from Asgard. Characters like Frigga, Thor's mother, is portrayed as a wise and powerful queen whose magic is formidable. Hela, the goddess of death is one of the most powerful villains in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Played by Cate Blanchett, Hela is terrifying, ambitious, and utterly dominant, showcasing a dark and destructive side of divine female power that is rarely explored so directly. The superhero goddess reflects our modern desire for heroes who are both aspirational and relatable. We want to see figures who can lift tanks and fly, but we also want them to understand our struggles. By grounding these divine beings in human emotions and conflicts, filmmakers make them more powerful. They are no longer just symbols of an ancient past, they have become symbols of our present hopes. They represent the idea that strength and compassion are not opposing forces but two sides of the same coin. They are the goddesses for the superhero age, showing us that anyone can have a hero's heart. As cinema has become a truly global medium, the representation of goddesses has expanded far beyond the Greco-Roman world. Filmmakers from different cultures are bringing their own rich mythologies to the screen, and honestly, this has introduced audiences to a stunning variety of divine female figures. From Hindu deities in Bollywood epics to Egyptian goddesses in Hollywood blockbusters, the cinematic pantheon is more diverse than ever. This global perspective, offers new stories, new visual styles, and new ways of thinking about divine power and femininity. It is a celebration of the world's shared heritage of myth. Indian cinema, for example, has a long history of depicting goddesses from the Hindu faith. Deities like Durga, Kali, and Lakshmi are central figures in many films. These portrayals are often deeply reverent and visually spectacular. They show goddesses as fierce protectors of Dharma or cosmic order and compassionate mothers of the universe. Films like Bahubali create epic fantasy worlds inspired by Hindu myths, featuring powerful female characters who embody divine qualities. This cinema often blends devotion with action, creating a unique and powerful viewing experience that is both spiritual and entertaining for millions of viewers. Hollywood has also started to explore mythologies beyond its usual comfort zone. The 2016 film Gods of Egypt brought the Egyptian pantheon to life with stunning visual effects. While the film had its controversies, it showcased goddesses like Hathor, the goddess of love, and Isis, the goddess of magic. These figures were portrayed as powerful players in a cosmic war between gods. More recently, the Marvel series Moon Knight introduced audiences to the Egyptian goddess Taweret, a friendly and helpful hippopotamus-headed deity who guides souls to the afterlife. This showed a willingness to embrace the more unique and non-humanoid forms of goddesses from different cultures. This growing diversity is incredibly important. It enriches our collective storytelling. Each culture's goddesses offer a different perspective on power, nature, and the human condition. The fierce loyalty of the Japanese sun goddess Amaterasu, the creative energy of the Yoruba goddess Oshun, or the destructive fury of the Aztec goddess Coatlicue all provide new archetypes for filmmakers to explore. As audiences become more curious about the world, cinema has the power to be a bridge between cultures. By sharing these diverse stories, we not only learn about others, but we also see the universal themes that connect all of humanity's myths. The way a goddess looks on screen is, honestly, one of the most powerful tools a filmmaker has. Costume design is not just about clothing, it is about communicating character, power, and culture in a single glance. In early films, Goddesses wore simple, flowing white gowns, a visual shorthand for purity and classical antiquity. This look was inspired by Greek and Roman statues. It made them seem beautiful, but also distant and uniform. As filmmaking evolved, costume design for goddesses became much more detailed and expressive, drawing from historical art, cultural traditions, and pure imagination to create unique and memorable looks. Consider the costumes in a modern film like Thor Ragnarok. Hela's costume is a masterpiece of design. It is a sleek black bodysuit, but with a touch of a button, it sprouts a terrifying headdress of sharp antlers. This visual transformation instantly communicates her deadly power and her connection to the realm of death. It is both beautiful and menacing. This is a far cry from the simple robes of the past. Modern costumes for goddesses often incorporate elements of armor, intricate patterns, and specific colors that are symbolic of their domain: gold for a sun goddess, deep blue for a sea goddess, or earthy greens for a nature deity. Of course, costume is only part of the equation. Modern visual effects, or VFX, have completely revolutionized how divine power is shown on screen. A goddess is no longer limited by what an actress can physically do. With CGI, she can summon storms, grow to the size of a mountain, or wield energy blasts made of pure light. Think of the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel Universe, whose power is visualized as swirling red chaos magic. These effects make the divine feel tangible and awe-inspiring. They allow filmmakers to finally show the kind of cosmic power that ancient storytellers could only describe with words. The combination of practical costume design and digital VFX creates the complete modern goddess. A physical costume grounds the character and makes her feel real to the actor and the audience. The digital effects then elevate her, showing the otherworldly power that lies within. This blend allows for incredible creativity. Filmmakers can design a goddess who is literally made of stars, or whose hair is a waterfall of liquid fire. It is this marriage of art and technology that allows each new generation of filmmakers to reinvent the goddess, making her more spectacular, more powerful, and more visually stunning than ever before. The way filmmakers portray goddesses on screen is a powerful reflection of society's attitudes, especially towards women and power. By looking at how these divine figures have changed over the decades, we can trace a map of our own cultural evolution. Each era projects its own values, anxieties, and aspirations onto these ancient characters. They are not just characters in a story, they are cultural barometers. They show us what a particular time period considered to be the ideal, the dangerous, or the admirable qualities in a woman. This makes their cinematic history a fascinating study of ourselves. In the mid-20th century, goddesses were often passive and ornamental. They were beautiful objects of desire or gentle helpers to male heroes. This reflected a time when women's roles in society were largely confined to the domestic sphere. A powerful woman was often seen as a threat, so the goddesses on screen had their power softened. They were divine, but not disruptive. Their main purpose was to inspire the male hero or to be rescued by him. This portrayal reinforced the conventional gender roles of the era, presenting a vision of femininity that was safe, supportive, and non-threatening to the established order. As the women's liberation movement gained momentum in the later 20th century, we began to see a shift. Goddesses started to become more active, more complex, and sometimes more dangerous. They were shown as powerful sorceresses, vengeful deities, or wise queens with their own agendas. This change signaled a growing cultural comfort with the idea of female autonomy and authority. However, this power was often still framed as something mystical, alien, or other. It was not yet the mainstream accepted power of a leader or a warrior, but it was a crucial step forward in representation. Today, we are seeing some of the most powerful and well-rounded goddesses in cinema history. Characters like Wonder Woman or the powerful women of Wakanda in Black Panther are leaders, warriors, and strategists. Their power is not just accepted, it is celebrated. This reflects a society that is increasingly embracing female leadership in all areas of life, from politics to business. The modern on-screen goddess is not just fighting for a man, she is fighting for her people, for her beliefs, and for the world. She shows us a vision of female power that is confident, compassionate, and essential. The journey of the mythical goddess through cinema has been long and transformative. From the graceful, ethereal figures of Hollywood's golden age to the fierce, complex superheroes of today, their image has been constantly reshaped. This evolution has been driven by advances in technology, the vision of filmmakers, and, most importantly, the shifting tides of our own culture. Each depiction, in its own way, has held up a mirror, showing us not only who we were, but also who we were aspiring to be. The goddess has proven to be one of storytelling's most enduring and adaptable archetypes. Today, the goddess continues to be reinvented for new audiences. We are seeing a greater diversity of myths being explored, bringing figures from Norse, Egyptian, Hindu, and other traditions into the global spotlight. This enriches our cinematic landscape and fosters a greater appreciation for the world's diverse cultures. Furthermore, modern portrayals are increasingly focused on the internal lives of these characters. They are not just powerful, they are relatable. They grapple with doubt, loss, and responsibility, making their stories more emotionally resonant than ever before. They are flawed, and in their flaws we find a deeper strength. The enduring appeal of the goddess lies in her symbolic power. She represents a potent combination of creation and destruction, wisdom and passion, nature and civilization. In a world that often feels chaotic, she offers a vision of strength, resilience, and authority. She can be a symbol of feminist empowerment, a connection to the natural world, or a beacon of hope and justice. As long as we continue to tell stories, we will continue to need figures that embody these profound ideas. The goddess is a timeless concept, and cinema is her most powerful modern temple. Looking to the future, the possibilities are endless. Perhaps we will see goddesses in science fiction as cosmic beings who create and destroy galaxies. Or perhaps we will see more intimate stories exploring the quiet, personal struggles of a deity trying to live in a mortal world. Whatever form she takes, the goddess will remain a vital part of our cinematic storytelling. She has been with us since the dawn of myth, and she will continue to inspire, challenge, and awe us on the silver screen for generations to come, forever reborn and reimagined.